to our plan. First of all, it sounds we're going to conduct a thorough, open and transparent process to try and recruit the best board possible. It's going to be a slightly different process to the one you've been accustomed to. We have taken on the services of a company called Perrett Labour, which are a professional recruitment company in this area. We're looking for the correct skills, obviously, to make up the board, which I'll come on to. We're looking at meeting diversity targets, and obviously we need to find a new chair. Now this process starts immediately and will conclude when we have an AGM in October. The second part of the governance plan is the wider governance reform. So when I say that, so what will happen is once we have the new board in place, again guided by the ECB County Governance Framework that I've just alluded to, and the Catherine Newton report, which no doubt we'll come on to in a minute, and also general good governance practice. So we have eight vacancies for the main board. 3 of these can be appointed, and 5 will be elected by the membership. And out of the new board, a new chair will be elected. We set up a nominations committee to scrutinise this process, and their role is to assess all applications and recommend 3 to be appointed and 5 to be elected. Now, those 5 that will be recommended to you to be elected, you don't have to vote for them, but we will put up a strong case why we think they're suitable candidates. When I say we, that is nominations committee. Just to be clear, I will not be sitting on nominations committee. So nominations committee will review applications, shortlist, and also interview anyone who applies. The closing date for applications is August the 15th. And it will be on our website. It will also be on the Perrett Labour website. So keep a close eye on that if you're interested. But there will be 2 links. There'll be one link to apply for the board and another link to apply for the newly formed members committee. So make sure you click on the right link. But even if you don't, we'll make the process easy for you. And if you make a mistake, we'll smooth it out. So we're looking for the following skills, which are fairly obvious again. We need to populate the board with skills that are going to take this club forward. So we're going to need strong skills in the legal area, finance, EDI, the commercial area, safeguarding and ground development. Those are the priorities. However, there are other areas of the club that need serious attention as well, namely IT, branding, etc., etc. So what you'll see on the website is skills that are that we desperately need and skills that we desire. Now that's a brief summary of the process. However, there's also a timetable to that. And as I said, that process has already started. There'll be something on our website very, very soon. And this week we're going to start identifying candidates, and we'll have weekly update reports. On the 15th of August, as I said, that will be the close of applications. The advertisement will close, and candidate engagement and research ends. On the 17th of August, the candidate review documentation will be sent out. On the week commencing the 22nd of August, there will be a candidate review meeting with the nominations committee. On the week commencing the 29th of August, there will be informal candidate interactions. On the week commencing the 5th of September, there will be formal interviews. There will be a notice of an AGM and ballot papers distributed to members. Week commencing the 26th of September, closing date for ballot papers, process for counting. There might be a bit of slippage here, and we'll notify you if we're slightly behind schedule. And then early to mid-October, we'll hold an AGM. But all this information will be on the website. Please keep an eye on that. We'll send some literature out as well, for those who aren't as well versed in web stories and websites. And I do encourage you all in the room and online to apply if you have any interest in the board or the newly formed members committee. I hope that's clear. I can take some questions now, or we can wait for any other business to discuss those issues, because obviously I want to keep going through the agenda. Maybe the latter is better now, and we crack on to the questions that have been submitted. Now, the first question is related to governance, and I think I've covered it off, because the first question from Mark Byfield was, can the club please shed some light on the background and reasons why we currently have virtually no committee members and so many vacancies? So hopefully I've covered that off already. So we're going to move on to cricket now while we've got Mags. Mags has had a long day, and there are a lot of questions in the, that have been submitted, and we'll cover those off now. So Mags, given Simon Harmer has been called up by South Africa, what's the plan to cover his absence?
We're just waiting for a date when Simon will leave us, but it's likely going to be early August, so he'll miss the 50-over competition. And then our understanding is he will be back with us after the final test, which, if it goes the full distance, will be the first day of the Yorkshire game. So at the moment he is due to miss 2 championship games. But that's on the provision he is going to be playing. Obviously, if he's not playing and in the squad, then it's another conversation with South Africa. I guess at the moment we're just discussing, one, if we can get an overseas to cover him, if we need to get an overseas for 2 games in the championship, because in the 50 overs we will utilise the squad with the younger players. And when we're looking at overseas players, it's got to be someone of quality or someone who's going to improve us. So all of them things will come in over the next couple of weeks when we've got clarity through our cricket committee meeting.
The next question from Mike Stringer again. Are we likely to use the RL50 to give our younger players more experience?
Yes, absolutely. As everyone knows, we're going to be losing 5 players to the 100, so Sam Cook, Dan Lawrence, Adam Rossington, Matt Critchley and now Michael Pepper. There is a chance, as there was last year, we might lose a couple of others if there's injury replacements or things like that within the 100, which again is out of our control. But I think with the younger players playing last year, who made some promising signs, a few of them played T20 this year, we feel as though we've enough cover and enough quality, and I think it's a real good opportunity to play our own players and really give them a chance, because quite a few of them have only played a few times, a lot are just playing in the second team, so I think it's a real good chance, as we did last year, to use the younger guys and give them a real chance in the 50 overs.
Next question from Neil Hornsby. Why is it that Essex are scoring so slowly this season? We have the least number of batting points, and the possible bonus points available almost equate to 1 extra win for the season.
We maybe need to get Neil in to tell us why, but it's certainly not a plan to score slowly. It's been the bane of not just the coaches, the players as well, that we've missed out on so many batting points this year, particularly early in the season. We're not scoring in that first innings. We were getting bowled out at Warwickshire and Northants here, and second innings we scored more runs. So it's certainly something we've tried to address. We did better at Lancashire. Hampshire were pretty low scoring, and of course we got 3 points today. So it's certainly not a plan. It's just kind of how it's gone this year. Mixture of us not batting well and opposition bowling well. But yeah, I mean, if you look at the table, although we've got a game in hand, a few extra batting points would certainly help us. So yeah, it's something we're aware of and we're trying to put right.
So the next two questions relate to Adam Wheater and the announcement that he is retired. From Sam Atkinson, I'll read out one of them. They both relate to the same thing. Adam Wheater's sudden retirement was quite a shock given his success as wicketkeeper batsman in all formats. Was he told that Adam Rossington would be replacing him in one-day cricket?
No, I mean, it was a shock to all of us. I'm sure everyone saw his statement. Adam was very much part of the plans. In red ball, he had the gloves and Adam was playing as a batter. And certainly the plan from pre-season in T20 was probably both Adams opening together. So it was down to Adam Wheater and his decision. He just felt as though he had no more to give in terms of the top level sport and cricket, and he wanted to retire. He felt as though he didn't want to carry on through the season. So he is still in the squad. Given what I've just said about the RL50, we've got Will Butterman, who is a real good chance to have a look at him. If there is an injury to Will, then potentially Adam will play. But the position, Adam made it very clear to myself, to John, to the captains that, he wanted to take a backward step and would only play in if needed, really, which means, if there's injuries. So that's the position with Adam. It's absolutely his choice, and we're supporting him in his transition out of cricket and his future beyond the club.
And he might play cricket a bit later. Is that what you're saying?
He won't play professionally. No, he's going in, at the moment he's looking at coaching.
And are we still paying him through this period?
Yes, we are. Yeah, we're contractually obliged to. Yes, so we signed Rossington on a 3-year contract, starting from next year. So the next question is very, very topical about the balls. We would have seen how many ball changes are going on in county cricket. So can someone from the club please comment on the problems with the balls? Mags, you're in the best position to answer that.
Don't know if I can say online. No, it's been a bit of a shambles right from the start, and a new batch of balls as you get every year. It was felt, as you've all seen, the first few games there were so many ball changes, numerous problems. The lacquer on the ball wasn't shining up, the quarter seam on the ball was coming away, the balls were going soft and out of shape, and there were just so many changes. So after the first 6 or 7 games, I think it was decided to make a new batch of balls, which we got for the Hampshire game, and the rest of the teams also were getting new batch of balls, but the same problems continued, as you've seen in this game. We're at a stage now where we've not got enough spare balls because they're either going into the river or they're going out of shape. So it's a real problem. I don't know what it is because I'm not an expert on making balls from cowhide and so on, but it's something they're looking at, it's something they're aware of, but it's a problem countrywide, as mentioned in the question. If you speak to umpires, match referees, opposing coaches, captains, there's 6, 7, 8 changes every single game. So
haven't the ball manufacturers said they don't know what the problem is? I've read that they don't know.
yeah, don't quote me on this, but something to do with the cowhide or the leather or something. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, it's frustrating because you can't get any continuity with the ball. This season, yeah, I mean, there's been yeah, but not as many as I think we're getting this year. I mean, there's always changes, you're right, there's always balls, but I think normally after 50, 60 overs you might see a team change ball, but I mean, we had one today changed after 3 overs. And a lot of the balls that the umpires have the gauge, sorry, and they're just going out of shape. Yeah. This batch of the 22 balls, or because you've got to use the ball from the year they're manufactured. Well, Dukes are the manufacturers. I don't know what the process is on making it, but it's obviously, yeah, this year's, yeah. But it's a real problem.
So sorry to stop you, because online they might not be hearing your questions. So have we got a microphone or anything that might work if you want to answer? Or just speak up really loudly, because obviously we're going to continue to engage those that are online. So if you're going to ask a question, please speak up as loud as you can.
Just going to say it happens in the test matches as well, so it's not just us.
Yeah.
No, it's good. I like it. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if they're the same batch of balls or not, but they seem to be changing them too.
Going forward, are we committed to this Dukes ball, or is there a choice? I mean, Archie has to be this
Very good.
Yeah, so just online there's been a question about the Dukes ball, whether we're going to continue to use it. I would suggest we are. Making cricket balls, especially Dukes balls, hand stitched. There's so many things that can go wrong with a cowhide, etc., etc. Every year the ball has a different characteristic. This year it's just going soft. Hopefully they'll sort the problem out, but I can't see that Dukes balls are going to be replaced with Kookaburra balls in the UK anytime soon.
Why not?
Well, there's a bit of tradition about it. There's a high performance review that we will discuss in a minute that could possibly recommend something radical like that, but I think there'll be a lot of resistance to it.
I've heard that the idea was to make the Duke more like the Kookaburra.
Yeah, they're so different. I know what you mean, but to do that you would have to reduce the seam size, and that when you start reducing the seam on the Duke ball and you start playing around with any variables, the pitch, the ball, you go back to 1990. Remember that year when we had flat pitches and no seam on the ball, and Gucci got 1,000 runs in a week. So, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So let's move on, if that's okay.
Can I just ask one thing? Who are the people who are in the hundreds from Essex? I know a couple.
Matt Critchley, Adam Rossington, Dan Lawrence, Michael Pepper and Sam Cook.
Okay, thank you for those questions. We're just going to talk quickly about the Andrew Strauss review. There's a question from Bill Allen, who suggests that there could be change afoot in first-class county cricket as we know it. Does the panel believe we need to promote and market the county championship in the same manner as the 100 and ensure that the timetable for the championship is played through the entire season? Well, I've got one word for that. Yes. Obviously, there was a related question to that, which I've omitted. It's about what can we do as a club to ensure that there's there's no reduction in red ball cricket. For me, it's a red line, and I've expressed my view as a CEO into the high performance review. We had a meeting today of 11 CEOs who represent the venues that are not staging 100 ball matches. There are 11 venues who obviously are facing similar issues, and it does relate to what the future structure of county cricket is going to look like. And what we're trying to do is coalesce as a group behind a view on red ball cricket, which is no reduction, and a schedule that works for each individual club. It's when you're inputting into this discussion, it's very easy to lapse into the lens of what's good for Essex cricket, and I was doing that today, because what I've witnessed this season, I think, has been really, really good. We've had a fantastic product at Chelmsford for T20. Probably didn't have quite enough time to sell the tickets out, but that's worked really well. We've got red ball cricket throughout the summer, apart from August, but we're looking forward to a 50-over campaign, 4 home matches with a young side. I think that's going to be really, really good. And I think the structure this summer has been pretty good. In terms of the high performance review, one could argue that 4 Test match victories in a row kind of deals with that, because it started with a Red Bull reset, and then it became a high performance review. Suddenly, and life seems rosy. So, I mean, there's a lot of debate. We could talk about this all night, but what I wanted to assure you is that Essex County Cricket Club do have a voice at the table, and I'll try and protect your best interests as much as possible. And Mags, I don't know if you've got anything to say about that.
No, just agree with county cricket. I think, you know, it's very important. I think sometimes people overlook that the Test team come from everyone who plays in the counties, so, you know, playing in the summer is important, which has been good this year. I think the 9 games last year were too much in April and May, so I know it's difficult for people who make the try and promote county cricket throughout the summer, and try and get a good balance as possible with white ball and red ball.
Isn't the problem the ECB doesn't care about county cricket?
So just for those online, there's a question about ECB caring about county cricket. I think they do. I do think they do care. Well, we'll get on to that. Can we take those questions afterwards? Yeah, because we'll just get through this agenda, then we'll have a bit of an open forum, if that's okay. All right, one more question.
Can I just point out 2 things? First, I want to say about this. One of the reasons I want to lower the number of championship matches, they say there's too much cricket. In 1959, Essex played 93 days of cricket in 4 months, 28 championship, they've got 2 outside and 2 versions. 2 or 3 years ago, Essex played 93 days of cricket in 6 months. So it's 21 days of cricket a month in 1959, and in 2000 recently, 15 days cricket a month. So it's much cricket. When I was young, I came to county cricket matches on Saturday, and I came on during August. I was a junior member. Where will I do in August now? The only other point is, no one says the Premier League is there to build up the England football team. Surely county championship has its own sort of rationale. It's not there to support the England Test team. It's there as the Premier League.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you heard any of that online. Perhaps we could revisit that. Your points are well made. We could get into a very long discussion now about that, which, you know, if we had all night, I'd love to. And can we revisit that in a minute? Thank you. So we're going to move on to more prosaic issues. Membership and match day provision. And this is based on some of the questions that have been pre-submitted. And this is from Steve Beverley. Having bought my life membership 9 years ago for £2,000 when I was 50 years old, which at the same time included T20 matches, I now note that life membership for 50-year-olds is offered cheaper than I paid back then, albeit without T20 matches. Does this mean I'm due a refund? Or perhaps that my membership is grandfathered to include T20 matches? Now, this is one of those questions I don't know the answer to. I've tried to do some research today. We've got a new membership department that have tried to do some research. And what I'm going to say to Steve Beverley, if you're online or in the room, please can we take this up another time? Because there is a view that when you bought your life membership 9 years ago for £2,000, did it actually include T20 matches? We're not too sure about that. No, that's the first thing. And secondly, obviously these recent life membership offers have been as a result of the financial situation the club has been in with COVID. It's an offer that was a special offer due to what happened over COVID, which is understandable. But Steve Beverley, if you're online, please can we take this up as a separate matter?
John,
Yes.
we've always paid for T20 cricket for the last 15 years, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think when we joined, they stopped the life members local members have to pay.
Right, okay, thank you for that. We'll do some further research. Trevor MacDonald. I mean, this is quite an interesting question because this is about a member benefit that he's questioning. So why is the Meteor Way car park for members still free of charge? This has been so since the start of the season, and staff at the car park say they are still awaiting card readers. Can the club really afford to lose such a significant source of income, and why has this situation been allowed to continue for many months? There's the first issue with this. Yeah, we haven't got card readers, so it would be a cash transaction, which we're trying to get away from. We don't want to be handling cash, and also we think it's a good benefit for the members. It doesn't cost the club an awful amount of money, and the goodwill generated, I think, is worth that money. So, next question, Mark Byfield. Can something be done to improve the public address announcements at the ground? They're frequently either too quiet or too loud and distorted. I've heard lots of members commenting the same. I couldn't agree with Mark Byfield more wholeheartedly. I looked into this today, that we do have a quote on the table to meet the requirements stipulated by ECB in terms of the Green Guide for a new PA system. The cheapest we can get is £170,000. We could pay for that out of our ECB maintenance grant. And it's something that I'm glad that the member has brought it up again, because it does drive me insane when PA systems don't work. You probably would have noticed that for T20 we brought in some extra speakers that hopefully help with that, obviously with all the music, etc. But it's something that's definitely on our radar. Whether we can afford 170,000, even out of an ECB maintenance grant, is something that we obviously have to weigh up. But obviously we do have to comply with health and safety regulations as well.
Can I just make a point here?
Sure.
I'm a regular visitor to race courses, cricket grounds, football, and Essex County Cricket Club certainly aren't the worst on that. It seems to be, I don't know, in my lifetime they haven't sorted out public address systems. They're terrible everywhere you go.
Yeah, I think you're right.
You get a lot of things have improved, but points to go to, there's always can't hear, crackling, or whatever.
Okay, well,
It's a real problem.
thank you for that. It's good to know that we're not the worst anyway. Thank you. So Gary Pope has asked a question about the restructure of county cricket. We'll get back onto that, Gary, so you're not forgotten. David Lee, I travelled to the county ground with a severely disabled fellow member. Can the club look at making parking on site more user-friendly for disabled members arriving by car, and consider options to do this, such as pre-booking a space? Yes, we will look into that. I am informed that we do have some issues related to disabled members arriving early and having to wait in their cars, and obviously they come early because they want it's first come first served for a parking space. Alana and I have been discussing a solution to make those individuals comfortable while they're waiting, which I hope you'll like. We'll be informing those that are affected. In terms of our provision for disabled parking, this isn't to say it's adequate, but we are well above minimum requirements. I think it's 16 we allowed during this championship match. We usually allow 6, minimum provision is 2, but we do understand the problems that you have, and we are listening. Those that get here early and need a comfortable environment, we're going to deal with that as well. Tea and coffee, etc.
One of the second things, at the T20 is a massive queue, and I understand, because if you just had a few chairs for people,
Yeah, okay.
that would make a tremendous difference.
It would,
for people
yeah.
who are not able to stand.
Okay.
I tried to time it so the queue had gone, but it hadn't.
Yeah,
There was
okay.
this massive queue.
All right then, thank you for that feedback. Duncan Knights, when will we be able to update on findings from the Catherine QC report? The timelines for the Catherine QC report have obviously lagged very, very badly, and I do apologise for that. What we will get is a very thorough report at the end of it. I spoke to Catherine Newton about a week ago. She reassured me that the full report will be ready by early August. Well, it's end of September because she goes on holiday on the 25th of September, so I'm hoping to get it then. And then we'll look at it and then we'll decide how that is disseminated. Obviously, we have to be as transparent as we possibly can in that regard, and I'll be updating members when I receive that report, and obviously you'll get sight of that following legal advice. Okay, on to ground redevelopment, and as I say, please write your questions. We are pretty close to the questions that have been pre-submitted, then we can have a bit of an open forum. So ground redevelopment, from Graham Copping. Is there any news on ground redevelopment? There's not much news. I have to be honest with you, this is a bit of a slow burner. That's not to say there isn't anything happening. There is a lot going on in the background in terms of background work. Sorry to repeat myself. So we have a ground development working party that meets every other week, which is chaired by Simon Cooper. The terms of reference of that working party is to develop develop options for a future home for Essex cricket, to be quite... Yeah, we'll get onto that, yeah. No, I won't deviate or divert, don't worry. Now, the Ground Development Working Party has done a lot of good work, and where we are is we've already got an option to ensure that the ground complies to minimum standards in terms of provision for player dressing rooms and for officials. That will take us through the next 2 seasons. ECB have looked at it, they're comfortable for 2 seasons. Now, to me, that's not a very comfortable situation to be in. So, over the next 2 years, we'll be developing a mid-term plan to allow us to stay here for at least another 5 years. Now, don't be alarmed, okay, because really what we're doing is exploring all options. This is a review of all options for ground redevelopment. And over the next 5 years, we'll be looking at plans to... Well, I'm trying to get away from this narrative of developing the ground. It's more about ground improvement and making sure that this ground is fit for purpose, or that the home of Essex cricket for the next 50 years is fit for purpose. I'm aware we've had a few schemes in the past, a few stop-start schemes, and I think we need to do our research thoroughly to ensure that that doesn't happen again. We work closely with our stakeholders, so Essex County Council, Chelmsford City Council, ECB, our sponsors, members, staff, players, everyone, to work up what I think would be the most sensible option for this ground for the next few years. Now, on everyone's lips is, are we moving or are we relocating? I have no plans to relocate. Good. Right? However, as a responsible club, we do need to look into every option to make sure the future of Essex cricket is viable and will work for future generations. That's all I'll say.
Sorry to interrupt. You were told, since about 2013, it was rubbish.
I wasn't here, so what were you
told?
doing?
I know you were here, but
Yeah.
since you last played here, ground ain't changed, has it? We were told this is going to be done, that's going to be done. I'm not blaming you, obviously, because everything we were told, as our members, was just to be quiet. Or appease us,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So nothing's been done, so all that was lies.
Well, no, it's okay. No, I'm very happy to meet anything head on. I don't think the committee were lying to you then. I think things happen. I've been through ground redevelopment projects in my former job.
We're 22 now.
We are, 9 years later.
And nothing's
Yeah.
been done.
You're absolutely right. The ground, we have spent money on it, with the floodlights, and we've patched things up, and the ground does need some love and care. There's no doubt, and we've had a discussion about it, haven't we? We talked about it, and it's really useful what you told me the other day. I wish I could tell you more. It's just a slow burner, and you're going to have to be patient, because what I don't want to do is promise anything that doesn't come to fruition. But what I don't want you to think is that nothing's going on in the background, because there is plenty of thought going into it.
That commend the slope by the river entrance. You no longer have to climb upstairs. Accidental.
Okay. All right, thank you. So just a couple of very short questions. One from Tony Stern. I'm not sure if this is the correct place to ask a technical question, but I was wondering if it would be possible to show replays of wickets on the main scoreboard. It is possible, and we're going to do it for the 50 over competition. And then David Sharp, can the panel advise what steps are being taken to encourage young persons whose schooling has not focused on cricket to engage with the sport? Now, I've got a whole list of stuff that would take about 20 minutes to read out. All I can assure you is I'd rather send that list to you because of time constraints. We have one of the most vibrant community departments in the country. The ECB hold us up as an exemplar to other counties in terms of how we develop our own talent. It's self-evident on the pitch, the amount of players that come through the system. They're not from private school. Most of them are from state school, which we're very, very proud of. It sets us apart from other counties. And there's a whole list of stuff we do here, which I'm very happy to put on our website as a follow-up. And I'd rather deal with it in that way. Okay, so those are the pre-submitted questions. Alana? Right. Okay, so we're going to go to the floor and we're going to have a mic that will be available. So who would like to ask the first question? And please say your name in the grey shirt. Thank you.
Just checking as well. Hi, my name is Richard Clark. My question is it's a clarification with regard to what you said about the composition of the new board. So 8 spaces, 3 of which come from the club, effectively, or the club can appoint. Yeah. That leaves 5 to be elected. From what you said, and I may have misunderstood this, how big will be, how many people will be up on the ballot?
Well, what will happen is we will give everyone who applies a fair hearing. Then it will be the decision of that candidate whether that individual wants to opt out or opt in. Because if that individual, if the nominations committee thinks that individual doesn't have the required skill set or whatever it is, the nominations committee will say, we're not going to recommend you as a starred candidate, whatever you want to call it, but it's within your rights to be on the ballot paper. So we could have a lot of people on the ballot paper.
John, I have spoken to you personally about this, and I think you might have an idea what I'm going to say. In the next magazine, will you say something complimentary about John Fallinger? Because he was very good at keeping us out of debt. And I just wonder if you could mention this in the next magazine. And possibly, is there any chance of him coming back on the board? Or is it not? Yeah. And also, are we in debt at the moment much?
So to answer your last question, we are not in debt. John Farragher, as executive chairman, left his role with the club in very robust health financially. He obviously put a lot into the club over many, many years. There's no doubt about that. I'm very happy to put that in a newsletter. No problem at all. John's in the room, so I think it wouldn't be right of me to answer that first question. I think that's something that complete. No. I think definitely not. I think out of mutual respect, it would be better if that we didn't get into those sort of discussions. And I think that's helpful for John and for myself.
John, down to the championship red ball games in the future, will there be a vote by the different counties? to no end any games. We're a bit in debt because the EGB are saying they want 10 games,
Yeah.
and the counties want to stay at 14 championship games.
Yes, so the way it works is that 12 counties would have to approve any change in structure. So it's going to be difficult anyway, I think, to get any of these things through, I would have thought. But we'll see. I mean, some of these plans, if they come to fruition, would suit certain counties, but not others. So, for example, when we had to vote for 2 divisions, we voted, when the makeup of the divisions were determined so that we were back in the 1st division this year, we obviously voted for that. And 12 had to vote in favour, and we did. So that's the way it works. Any new structural changes will need that sort of majority to get them through.
Yeah, thank you.
So, any other questions? So, please tell us your name again. No.
On 100, I know we're losing players. I didn't remember missing something. Do we compensate for that?
Yes, so just so for the benefit of those online, the question was related to the 100 and whether we get compensated for losing players. The answer is yes, but the players have to give back 12.5% of their salary. So, you know, that compensates for their absence. Well, 12% of their 100, hang on a minute, is it 100 ball salary? I can't remember now. So sorry about that, but John would probably have to know better than me.
I think it's county.
Yeah, the county salary, isn't it? Yeah. So, sorry, you had your hand up earlier, so we'll get to you in a sec. Sorry.
I was just going to say, wasn't the whole thing about the county championship reform due to the fact that England did so badly in the Ashes in the West Indies, and all it turned out was you just need to get a new coach, a new captain in, and suddenly everything's fine. So surely you don't need to sort of renovate the county championship in any major way.
Do you like Max to answer comments on that?
Yeah.
I think you've answered it yourself.
Yeah.
What I wanted to ask you, I had a couple of questions actually, but one thing I wanted to check was on the ground redevelopment, one of the things which was put in originally was a bridge going over that way into the park. And over the years, what's happened is, if you want to get to the station from the ground, it's got harder and harder. And actually, that's changed there. Whilst it's really great that the path is smoother, it's actually longer, much longer to get back to the station again.
Right.
So I'm just wondering if you've got any thoughts about how we can, you know, get that easier to get to the station, because at the moment everything's kind of going away from it.
Okay. I actually haven't thought about that issue, but thank you for pointing it out, because we'll make a note of that and consider that in the ground development party, if that's okay. That's a really good observation. Thank you. Well, first of all, we go. Yeah.
With the 100, if I can say, not only do the ECB Shanghai players, but also the coaches, don't they? Some of the county coaches. Is there any compensation for that?
Okay, so Huggy, Tom Huggins, is the assistant coach for the London Spirit. Chris Clark-Irons is going to be a physio, emergency physio for one of the 100 ball teams if needed. We did get some compensation before, but that's changed now. So he will get his full remuneration from the 100, and there'll be no deduction from his salary. So, but you know, as Mags will probably back up, it does give other coaches an opportunity to step up. It's also a really good developmental experience for Tom Huggins to go and coach at London Spirit in that sort of environment. So a couple more questions. We're going to just go there and then we'll go there.
My name's Peter Edwards. Thanks for everything you're doing. I'm sure it's been a very tough year for all sorts of reasons on and off the field. I had a question in terms of COVID, inflation, and some of the cultural issues with we've read about in the press. Could you just say a bit more about what you're doing to support staff welfare, please, both players and non-players?
Thank you for that question. I hope they heard that online. So first of all, the staff. They obviously had a very tough time. The club did look after them during COVID, paid them their full salaries and looked after them really well. The current situation, I think, hasn't affected the players or the staff at all. We are developing a sort of wider-ranging HR provision for the staff. We're issuing a staff handbook that is all-encompassing, just all the normal stuff really that you'd expect as a member of staff joining Essex, and in onboarding processes, bonus system, proper training and development, stuff that the club has done in the past, but we're just trying to enhance that a bit more. Obviously, the environment we're living in is a particularly tough environment economically. There's no doubt that the club is in good shape. We have no debt, we own the ground. However, we are facing cost inflation of running the business. The income is generally pretty predictable and flat. And if you look at those two things, it's a challenge. You have to take action where action is necessary. We're not going to be reporting spectacular financial results at the AGM. There's no doubt about that. But I hope you appreciate, as members, the situation we're in. Mags and his team will continue to entertain you on the pitch. Their T20 campaign I thought was spectacular. Whatever happened at Old Trafford, we have so much to celebrate in terms of our white ball cricket and the players that are coming through. As you can see, we're gaining momentum in the Championship. Things are coming to fruition on the pitch, and it's long-term planning. These things just don't happen. And what's so encouraging is that all the players have signed long-term, so they're not looking to leave the club, which is really encouraging. So they feel that the club is a comfortable environment, a good place to be. We're attracting players from other counties when they come up. So that just says one thing to me: this club is a good place to be. Thank you. Okay.
Questions to both of you, really. Mike Dudley. Going forward with what leads to the formations of next year, how important is it where we finish this year? And the question to Max is: a very sharp left armour following Nick Davis has any interest to us at all?
Here you go for it.
Yeah, the left armour is someone who's playing league cricket in Essex, who we've been tracking. He's from New Zealand, but he's got an English passport. We're always on the lookout for new players. And then one of the things we've done in recent times is people who we are interested in, we get them down to training. Normally not on a match day, but just with how the schedule is and how busy. His name is Raymond Toole. People might know him from local league, but he's probably going to come down and do some training sessions with us, and we'll keep an eye on him.
So just answering your first question about, if we end up middle of Division 1 or top of Division 1, how does that reflect on next year? No one has a clue. We don't know what next year is going to look like. And I wish we knew a bit more. All we can do is continue to win. You can't control those sort of things. Whatever ECB are up to in terms of the structure, hopefully they make provision for good performance, and that's rewarded. And we'll react to it as and when. That's all we can do. So I know it's getting pretty late. Should we have one more question? Okay. No? Yeah, go.
Is there an update on whether Scott Cook is likely to continue his career another year?
No, there is no update. He's got one more year on his contract after this year. Now, I think the way we left it was that he signed a 2-year contract. And I think he's loving playing. Obviously, another masterpiece yesterday and today. It shows the hunger he's got. no, we hope he continues. He's signed obviously he's signed on for next year, and we'll take it from there. Mags?
Yeah, just to echo that really. He won't be watching tonight, so I'm sure I can say this without him seeing. No, I mean, look, he's said publicly before he's earned the right to retire whenever he sees fit. Of course, we want him all to stay. His value, not just on the pitch, but to me as coach and the players upstairs, is going to be very, very difficult to replace. So my job as coach and John and everyone else is to keep him happy. While he's happy and scoring runs, he's obviously going to transition into something else at some point, so we've got to give him enough time to do that as well. He's got a young family, so the key is to keep him happy, scoring runs, and hopefully we'll see him next season.
Fantastic. We're going to have one more question. I hope it's a nice one.
It's back to the last member out there, back to the bridge.
Oh, okay.
Back to anything. I know it's boring.
That's okay.
Tell us about flats. Why do you want, not three?
Well, we do.
No, you won't hear.
No. I obviously don't want to speculate about any of that. And this is for those online talking about the flats. And we do still have active planning permission on other blocks of flats, which, you know, we're not going to take up. I can't see that happening, but that is an active planning permission. As I say, we are looking at a complete review of all options. That's what I promised when I came in, a completely blank canvas, a completely new look at ground improvement, ground redevelopment, the future of Essex, home for Essex cricket. That's the way I look at it. And please be patient while those plans take fruition. So thank you very much for everyone in the room, everyone online. It's great to see you. Thanks, mate.
It would be good.